Every year I do NFL predictions. I do a segment on each team. We'll do it again this year. It'll be really fun. About mid to end of August, we'll do a prediction couple episodes where we predict and do a segment of every single team for the 2020 NFL season. We're not there yet. We're still a few weeks away from doing next year. But after last season, I came up with a series I was really proud of called Predictions versus Reality. It was a chance to go back and revisit my predictions, to kind of ask questions like, hey, how did my predictions work out? What was I wrong about? What did I get right? Why? What happened? And for whatever reason, I was in the middle of this series. I think coronavirus happened. I never completed the series. I never finished Predictions versus Reality. I never did Predictions versus Reality for the NFC West. And I get messages from people all the time asking, hey, are you going to finish it? Can you finish it? I want to see it. And so let's do it. Let's revisit my predictions from 2019 for the NFC West. We'll start with the San Francisco 49ers. Here is what I said about the San Francisco 49ers heading into the 2019 season last year. I cut together about a minute from my recap, a minute recap of my prediction from last year. I want to play the clip. Enjoy that now. There's a lot of nice stuff I can say about the 49ers. I like their running backs, Tevin Coleman, Jerick McKinnon, Matt Breida. They have some good receivers, Dante Pettis, Trent Taylor. They drafted a guy named Deebo Samuels, another guy named Jalen Hurd is good. And on paper, the 49ers offensive line is fantastic. They got Joe Staley, Weston Richburg at center. They got Mike McGlinchey at tackle. I like, Richard Sherman's still a stud. There's all kinds of reasons to like him. In fact, I think I'd love to go on about their defensive line. Nick Bosa is a really good defensive lineman they just brought in. They brought in D Ford. If you're a 49ers fan, Quan Alexander and Fred Warner are great linebackers. But I'll be honest, I'm just not sure that Jimmy Garoppolo is up for the task. They're on the upswing, maybe, if Jimmy Garoppolo can improve and they can keep building their roster, but they're going to play a lot of really good teams this year, and I think as a result, the 49ers are going to go 6-10 and are just in a position where they're trying to build for the future, because this year, in my opinion, just ain't it, Chief. It's not the year of the 49ers. It's interesting watching that clip. Not only is it, man, we're in a different studio now, the show has come a long way, but it's funny how much I got right despite being so wrong about the 49ers. It blows my mind. I had the foresight to see how good the roster was. I could tell, oh, wow, great running game, head coach, good defensive line. And I think I got stuck in the mud a little bit on one detail where I kept saying in my head the 49ers are 2 more years away from a Super Bowl. That's kind of how I felt. I'd been saying that the whole time leading up. And obviously the 49ers went to the Super Bowl this year. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. And oddly enough, I believe the 49ers just peaked a little bit too early. I did a film analysis video of the Super Bowl, and the limiting factor for the 49ers was their quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, which is like, dang it. And I believe Jimmy is going to keep improving. Jimmy G is going to get better. They got a great coach, a good organization around him. And it's like, man, the roster was all there. The quarterback was just a year or two away from being ready to win a Super Bowl in a situation like that. And what's hilarious, I predicted the 49ers to go 6-10. How absurdly bad and wrong is that? They went 13-3. I'll take my lumps. I sounded like an idiot. Given when you look back and go, you said that, and then they did this. Oh my gosh. The 49ers dominated the NFC West other than the Seattle Seahawks. And I just didn't realize how good and how much the roster in San Francisco could carry Jimmy G. They really went a long way despite of him. And he'll get there. I really believe he's getting better. He'll make strides. They peaked a little bit too early. Their quarterback wasn't quite good enough to win when they needed him to. But they had a great defense. They ran the ball well. And the 49ers got away with it all the way until the end of the year. It caught up with them in San Francisco. But I just go back to, I fear they peaked a little too early. And I hope they get another shot. I really like the 49ers. I like Kyle Shanahan. I like John Lynch. I like what they're doing in San Francisco. They're building a really great, well-built organization. They're doing it the right way, building their offensive and defensive lines. And Jimmy G is going to be much improved in 2 more years. So I really personally would like to see the 49ers get another shot down the road. I just think they're a team this year that peaked a little bit too early, and their quarterback wasn't good enough when they needed him to be to win a Super Bowl when it mattered. I did a whole film analysis. Go watch it. There's many examples of, you look at Jimmy G going, that's a bad read, and that's a missed throw, and this and that. And so Jimmy G was a limiting factor. But obviously, the 49ers did much better than I predicted this year, and I'll take my lumps. Now, going into the last season, 2019, I predicted the Seattle Seahawks to go 8-8. Now, the reality is they went 11-5. Bit of a miss for me. Now, here's something I nailed. Listen to this. But what I'm really excited to watch with the Seattle Seahawks is the way they used their second-round draft pick, DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf was kind of a sensation around the NFL draft. He's 6'3", ran a 4.3 340 time, and he's a great deep threat. In college, he was used a lot, and I believe the Seahawks are going to use him in play action and throw the ball deep to him often, and just make the guy stretch and run the field and chuck the ball deep to him. I'm really excited to watch that this year. So DK Metcalf was a blast to watch last year. And the question is, why did the Seahawks overachieve my expectations? Why did they go 11-5 when I predicted them to go 8-8? And it's funny, I was right. They have a flawed roster, and their roster had problems last year. But the reason why the Seahawks did better than I predicted was Russell Wilson. In my opinion, Russell Wilson should have won the NFL MVP in 2019. He was the league MVP in my opinion. He would have got my vote. The Seahawks won a couple of games they really shouldn't have because of Russell Wilson. He was the most valuable player by far. The most impressive performance of the year from anybody, to me, was Week 10, Russell Wilson against the 49ers defense. They beat the 49ers, and they had no business beating them. And he played the 49ers defense twice. Nobody played the 49ers defense, even Patrick Mahomes, who beat them in the Super Bowl. Nobody played the 49ers defense quite as good as Russell Wilson did last year. The best defense in the NFL. Russell Wilson handled them better than anybody else. RW should have won the MVP last year. He had an MVP-level season, and he single-handedly screwed up my prediction. That is why the Seahawks went 11-5 rather than 8-8. Now, I predicted the Arizona Cardinals to go 4-12 last year during the 2019 season. Go back and watch my prediction video for them. I nailed the overall theme of the year for the Cardinals. They went 5-10-1. They were a smidge better than I expected by like a tiny amount. But I was right. This was a growing year for Kyler Murray. I was also right to say, man, the offensive line was better. The defense was making strides and getting better, making progress. But it was a growing year for Kyler Murray, where the year and the season revolved around him. But they are building something in Arizona. I was right about that. Last year was a building year for Arizona. But the Cardinals put themselves in a position with a good head coach, Cliff Kingsbury, a new receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake at running back, a great quarterback, a better offensive line. The defense with Isaiah Simmons are just getting better and better. The Cardinals are in a position to do really well this year. And part of it is because they took last year and built their team and were patient. And they're really building something, in my opinion, in Arizona. Now, the LA Rams, last year, for the 2019 season, I predicted the Rams to go 12-4. Oh, I was hilariously wrong. I was only 3 games off. The reality is the Rams went 9-7, but I also predicted them to win their division. I even stupidly threw out something like they could go back to the Super Bowl. And I feel that's the most embarrassing thing in that whole prediction video. I'll go, oh, Zach, you were wrong. And I'm not too embarrassed. You make a prediction, you expect, hey, I might be wrong. But in fact, when the year ended, though, not only did they not make the playoffs, they didn't win their division, they didn't make the playoffs. They really underachieved compared to what I believed they would do. But I even was left wondering after the year, is Jared Goff, their quarterback, any good? It was that bad last year. I went, oof. Now, my biggest question mark going into the year, even in the video I talk about it, was their running back Todd Gurley, where he'd gotten hurt the year before. He really seemed off at the end of the year in 2018. And last year, he underperformed in 2019. He actually got cut in the offseason. He's now no longer a member of the LA Rams. And now, I got to dive into Jared Goff's film. I will admit, I want to tell you, I want to be honest and say I know what I don't know, and I don't know
why Jared Goff was so bad. I think it's going to take a really deep dive into film to explain that. And I don't know, was it his offensive line? I don't think Sean McVay suddenly became a bad coach overnight. I think Sean McVay is a good coach. They had Cooper Kupp back from an injury. What happened? Why did things go south so quickly for Jared Goff? Was it that the running game with Todd Gurley and the offensive line was bad? I don't know. But it's going to take a film analysis to figure it out. But something went very, very wrong in LA last year. They went 9-7. People say like they could have been a playoff team. They were in contention. But my expectations were they were going to be up here, and they really ended up a little bit farther down here. They had an interesting defense. They had to trade away Marcus Peters, but they got Jalen Ramsey from the Jaguars. They have Aaron Donald. There are some pieces still in LA. They're not a team in complete tatters. But whatever happened with Jared Goff, I just got to dive into film and figure it out. I haven't done it yet. So I want to be open and honest about that. But that's whatever happened with Jared Goff is what will explain what happened with the 2019 LA Rams.